I think if you feel lost or confused or confounded in the world of sadhana, where you don't realize or can't figure out which sadhana you should do and which you shouldn't, or there are so many sadhanas. Swami said Gayatri sadhana, yay, Kundalini sadhana, okay, and then Sri Suktam sadhana, oh, okay, another one. When next year there is Lord Vishnu sadhana coming, okay. He also spoke heavily about Rishri Rudram, okay, which sadhana should I do? If you feel that, then just take a step back for a moment. For a moment, I would like you to imagine that you are a budding singer and you want to perfect the art of singing. You want to be able to sing this song and you want to be able to sing that song. You want to be able to sing this raga and that raga. Now, to attain that level of perfection, you will need to train your voice in a myriad different ways. If you just do just the 7 swaras or with the sharp and the flats, if you just do 12 day in, day out, that will only train your voice to some degree. The path of sadhana is somewhat similar. If you have to eat a fruit, an apple, and you want to wash it, if you want to eat the whole fruit, you have to wash the whole fruit. You can't say, I've just put a little drops of water on one side, now I can eat. The whole thing is purified. The fluctuations of mind that are there in an individual are constantly taking you on a ride. Sometimes desirable, sometimes not so desirable. So when you do sadhana, each sadhana invigorates, rejuvenates, shakes, peels off a different aspect of your consciousness. But if each sadhana is leading you to a belief that you don't know whom to pray to anymore, that's just simply a matter of confusion you can resolve easily. Chanting different mantras, invoking different sonic forms doesn't mean your Isht has changed. It doesn't mean that you are now not loving Hanumanji anymore as you used to, and now you're thinking of Mother Goddess, and now you're thinking of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, and now you're thinking of Lord Shiva. And that is why, for example, in this ashram, we only have one vigraha, one idol. We could have made multiple temples and house different idols, but I don't want to confuse anybody. The form is secondary at that point. It's the concentration, it's the devotion, it's the emotion, it's the resolution that you have when you do any sadhana. And why do we do any sadhana? If you are doing a sadhana because you want a certain outcome, which is anything other than the grace of the divine, then it's a polluted sadhana already. Now, I am not saying that you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. I leave that you to decide. It's your prerogative, not mine. But if you are under the umbrella, then where is the fear? And if it's not the umbrella, but you want something else, then there are other better ways. So sadhana is almost never done towards to attain something specific. Sadhana is done to purify yourself, which is a journey, which is not a point in time. You can't say that I've done my sadhana and now I'm purified, now no further treatment is necessary. Yes, maybe the same intensity may not be necessary. You still got to keep purifying yourself. Every now and then you see a spot on a cloth, you would wash it. If you're going to use it, it will get soiled at some point in time. And it's up to you then to keep it clean. So keeping your consciousness clean is the purpose, the objective of sadhana. It is also important here to perhaps underscore that sadhana is not simply chanting of a mantra. I don't know if you've ever actually heard the story of Fred Banting. Anybody who knows the name Fred Banting? Okay, nobody. So in 1920s, early 1920s, they realized that this happened in Canada. In a hospital, there were a number of children who were dying, and they were dying from sugar, diabetes. And there was elevated blood sugar levels. They didn't know what to do. So two researchers, Frederick Banting and John McLeod, I think, they went in that hospital ward to inject those kids with insulin. They were already in a coma. Every single one of those kids were in a coma, and they didn't know how to revive or what to do. And hundreds more had already died because of that, if not thousands. So they started injecting the first child and the second child and the third child and the fourth child with zero expectations. By the time they got to the last patient, who was a young kid, the first one's consciousness was revived. The first one came out of the coma. And so did the second, the third, and the fourth. Every single child in that ward survived. Now, Frederick Banting and John McLeod, they both got the Nobel Prize for the discovery of insulin back in 1923, most likely. This Dr. Banting, I think he was a PhD, but I'm not sure, but he was a researcher anyway. So he was only 32 years old back then. His assistant, Charles Best, was 24 years old. So Fred Banting shared his Nobel Prize money with Charles, his assistant, because his name was not included in the award. Now, think of the detachment there. How many people would do that? Not only that, what was extraordinary about this gentleman was, he said, I don't want to patent it. I don't want to be recognized in the patent because I don't want to profit from it. Insulin, he said, belongs to the world, not to me. And he sold his patent to University of Toronto for $1. Now that is a different matter that the pharma companies today are selling it at 420 times the premium. But in my mind, what he did was no less than the highest divine act possible. And his journey was no less than a very phenomenal, rewarding, sattvic, pure sadhana. He might have arrived at the same juncture as any other sadhak without the chanting, with pure dedication to his karma and with pure detachment to the rewards of those actions or such actions, as well as complete renunciation by letting go of the reward to begin with. Such a person would always sleep in peace and spend his days or her days peacefully. Because if you're a great sadhak but you're not at peace, then you're not a great sadhak. Please absolutely bear this in mind. If you are not at peace, you are not doing sadhana correctly, or you have not realized the benefit of any sadhana at all yet. Because you cannot be at peace if you are not doing the right thing in life. I think I shared this with you a long time back. This disciple went to his master, said, how to gauge one's spiritual progress. And the master said, just see how many times you get disturbed during the course of a day. If you get disturbed very frequently, you have a long way to go. But if you are mostly undisturbed, you are good. You're doing well. In the past, I have spoken about the analogy. I've given this analogy that if you want to draw water, you have to dig deep. So when you chant one mantra to another mantra, it doesn't mean that you're no longer digging deep. It's not that you abandoned a sadhana and then you moved on to the next one. Feel free to experiment with sadhanas and see what aligns with your temperament, with your energy, where you find that joy, and feel free to do another sadhana still if you feel like, if you want to. Because this is the path of liberation. Having said that, bear in mind that there is no escape from the virtues. We can't lead a life devoid of virtues or righteous conduct and somehow think, I am doing great sadhana. That is not going to yield the results. And if you don't get the results you're after, naturally, you will think this is all a farce. You'll think this is a joke. There is no truth to sadhana. Whereas the very basic assumptions we make when we solve an equation, those are incorrect. So you can never solve that equation. You can never arrive at the right conclusion as a result. So sadhana is something which is the path of self-purification. And you can't do enough of it. Nobody has ever lost by doing a lot of sadhana. So do the best you can.